We're live. You're watching the Fighting News. We have a special show for you today. We're going to be here with a very exciting guest, Blair The Flair Cobbs, who just defeated Adrien Broner via
Woo!
decision. That's his nickname. Woo.
Woo!
And we'll have a contest later. We'll see if we can outwoo the guy. What do you think about that, Mike? Do you think you can outwoo Blair The Flair? We'll try it. Why not? Steve can.
Oh,
Um,
bother a lot of people.
yeah. So that was a pretty exciting show. We'll just give a quick rundown before he gets on. Um, Mike, what was your favorite fight of the night?
Definitely the one with Blair and Adrian had to be, one of the top fights of the night, because it depended on how you looked at it. You scored it from different angles. You saw different things. More than half that crowd thought Adrien Broner won the fight. I was one of the people who didn't think that and agreed with exactly what the judges had scored. But it was not due to
Which
lack.
judge? Which judge? Because they scored. One judge had it 97-91, and then the other two 96-93. What'd you have? 96-93?
I also 93. So I'm not sure if we all had the same rounds, but that's how I had it scored, 96
Yeah.
93.
Yeah, I had it about 96, 93 also. And, if it wasn't for that knockdown, but, there was that knockdown. And I think the knockdown took a lot out of Broner because not only did he lose a tooth, but he also hurt his arm. I think he said he fractured his elbow
Right.
and messed his shoulder up also.
Yeah.
So he was fighting through that, which is, but it's hard to tell if that affected him or not because he's known for not throwing a lot of punches. So, but we'll see what Blair the Flair thought about
Right.
that. Yeah, and I can't see Mike on the
Yeah, I'm
screen.
You must be getting a phone
Oh,
call.
really?
So,
Yeah, he's like
Uh,
talking to someone. Hang up on him. Get him out. Get him off the screen. Get him out of here. Bring him
get
back.
out of here.
Yeah, get him on out of here. So, and then the Ian Green fight was really good.
Yeah.
That guy, he fought what 6-7 rounds with his eye completely closed.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think they gave the decision to the wrong guy there. Mike was watching that fight also. I actually got splattered with blood during that fight. And
Yeah.
you know what? Here's my luck. Because I always get blood on something. But I had ordered a new shirt, and the shirt was supposed to get there on Friday, and I would have worn it. But it's a good thing it got there on Saturday, so I didn't wear it on Friday because I would have ruined my brand new shirt.
I had a spot of blood right there on my forehead, and no one had told me. Not even you.
I didn't see it. I didn't notice it.
But it was right there, a big splat.
Yeah, no, I didn't notice it.
There was a bunch of bloody fights. I was shooting ringside, and it was a bunch of bloody fights.
Yeah, we
So-
saw you. If you watch the broadcast back, you're like all over it.
Yeah, they were splatting me with the blood.
Yeah.
In fact, like I was shooting, and then when they were on top of me, I had to like cover my lens because it was getting to the point where I had to keep cleaning the lens from blood on it. So I had to protect my lens. It's pretty interesting.
That'll mess up all your shots.
That will mess them all up. Yeah. So I'm still at work. I got a recent Make America Great Again order for tomorrow. So I'm gonna be in the shop probably all night doing these Donald Trump shirts.
Make America. There's nothing wrong with America. For all those who are listening, there's nothing wrong with America. There's nothing wrong. Much worse now than it has been. You want to see bad? Go back to the 1980s, 1990s. Look at crime then. Stuff like that. People have
Yeah.
no clue. They
Yes.
got no
Exactly.
clue. They got no understanding. But
So this,
anyway, we're not doing politics here.
yes, we're not doing politics. This was the largest boxing event that I was at the Hard Rock. Like it was
Yeah,
no joke, no joke. It was like I know it was more than 5,000 people, which is like for the Hard Rock is pretty.
yeah, it's a lot. It sold definitely sold more seats than any of the BKFCs I've been to. Um, there's a lot of fans. There are a lot of Miami fighters there, and a lot of them have big followings. You had Bang Williams on there. He's got a lot of followers. Obviously, Adrien does, and you had Bang's brother too, Tack
Yeah,
Williams. All right,
yeah.
he won a belt.
But we've been to events there before and for boxing, and I've never seen it this crowded.
No,
It was so crowded they had to open up the top level, which
yeah,
they usually have curtains. Uh, they had opened it up as well, so
yeah,
it was packed house. The people came out. I don't know if they came out to see Adrien Broner. I don't know if they came out to see Blair the Flair, but the Hard Rock was packed.
yeah. We'll have to ask Blair that if he's got a lot of fans here in the area. But his last fight when Broner fought last summer, there were a lot of people there too. Not nearly as many as were there last night, but I think the fight last night was a lot bigger for him. And I think it was smart of Don King to team up with the heavyweight factory there because that heavyweight card, it had some good fighters on it, but they wouldn't have sold that much without the Don King part for sure.
Right.
So it was a good idea for those two to get together. There were some good fights on the heavyweight factory card, and that Soledad Matisse from Argentina, who was previously a world champion, so now she got the WBC, the silver belt, and Mauricio Suleiman was there to present it to her. So that 9 hour plane trip from Argentina to here was worth it for her.
Yeah.
When she beat our friend Ping Tyson, you know. But she's got Ping Tyson is a warrior, but she's not as experienced, anywhere near as experienced as Matisse. So I don't know who set that fight up for her. Uh, but she's got to talk to her management. And yeah, uh, it's funny because one of the first fights that I ever wrote an article on, Uniel Dorticos fought, and it was Mike Tyson Productions back in like 2014 or whatever. Remember that?
I remember it. They had a big life-size picture of Tyson's head.
Yeah, and Dorticos was on the heavyweight factory card. It's always good to see him because he's a great fighter. And the KO doctor, they called back then in 2014. I don't think he was the KO doctor. And Erickson Lubin was on that card in 2014, and we saw Erickson Lubin was in the crowd supporting Broner,
Yeah.
and we saw him afterwards. So I'm like, you know what? I've known a lot of these guys for a long time. Long time.
Yeah.
You ever think about that?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. The
It was like 2013 or 14 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't even in the same Hard Rock building. That was
No,
all.
that fight was in the arena down there in
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there were a couple of good. There was some good fights on that undercard. It was worth it. There was hardly any crowd there, uh, and I like watching fights like that, where you don't have all the distractions. I mean, the Broner fight was great, but everyone's screaming right behind you is not so great, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to watch a fight here. Be quiet.
I think a lot of people bet on Broner and lost a lot of money. Like there was a lot of people screaming and yelling and crying. So
Yeah.
and it sounded like they were rooting for Broner.
They was his fans, his friends and family. He had a big crowd with him at the press conference, at the weigh-ins. He had his whole entourage, his own, he had, I think, 2 or 3 photographers.
Yeah,
You know,
I think he
and then
retired after the fight. I think he retired after the fight.
who did?
Broner.
No, he said I saw him on Instagram. He said it's not the end for him. I don't think he should retire. I really don't, because I think even leading up to this fight, he seemed a lot more with it, you know, mentally than he has been in the past. And if he didn't get knocked down in that second round, who knows? And if he had a real camp, he switched trainers in the middle of his camp.
Yeah.
There was training here, and then he went out to train in Vegas or whatever
Yeah.
with Gervonta Davis's trainer.
Yeah, I was trying to listen to what they were saying, what they were telling him to do. But I mean, I heard someone saying that he had to be more active and stuff, but I didn't hear anything else other than that.
No, I
Yeah,
was listening into some of the corner, and
yeah,
yeah, there was nothing specific. Just uh, walking down. Keep busy, things like that, which he was doing.
yeah.
So
So was he when he was facing him like this, right, with the shoulder? Was that the shoulder that was hurt, or was it the left shoulder?
um,
Because he was facing him with the shoulder a lot.
he landed on his left side.
His left side. I
Yeah.
guess that's why his.
So yeah, and as soon as he got knocked down, he just looked all out of it. No one knew what was going on. We didn't know he lost a tooth then. But he was
Yeah.
just the way he was moving around, and it was all like kind of erratic. He looked like when you land a fish on the dock, and the fish is like jumping around. That's what he looked like in the ring for a minute.
Yeah. So Mike, you said you had it 96, 93,
Yeah, I did.
and you weren't surprised
But the
by
outcome
the
was scored.
outcome.
No, that's the thing. And I know you walked up to me and asked me, hey, what do you think? And I couldn't answer you because Adrien Broner's mother was sitting directly to my left. And
Yeah.
his sister was on the other side of her. The whole family was next to me. So there was no way I was telling you in front of everybody. Oh, he
Adrian
lost.
lost.
But I would have been, not to say I would have been shocked if the judges saw it the other way, because we talk about these rounds. A lot of these rounds were close. I even made notes in each of these rounds. Close, closer, very, very close, things like that. And there was different things that happened. I mean, if you look at the first minute of the round, it could have been a very different outcome as the last minute of the round. So it all kind of depended on what was happening. But nobody was doing nothing. I mean, they both were active. What I couldn't understand from Broner, and I'm going to ask Blair when he comes on about this, is that I've never seen Broner with his guard the way he was holding it. I know, Matt, I was telling you that pretty much throughout the whole fight. Broner's holding his guard like this. He's leaving himself wide open for the uppercut right down the center. And I don't know why Blair wasn't really throwing the uppercut, but he was definitely splitting the guard with jabs all night long. And it was those jabs he started realizing, I can get through. Now I'm going to throw a combination. Now we get a little riskier. Let me throw a little more. And as time went on, he was figuring it out. And Blair was winning the rounds simply because of that. Simply because while Broner was holding his hands up like this, Blair was splitting that guard. If his hands were in tighter and he was blocking those shots, different outcome.
Yeah, well, he could have used a little more head movement and just gotten around, but he wasn't. He was straight up and down the whole time, and but that's the way he fights. That's the way he fought last year.
Yeah.
straight ahead, just walking straight ahead, hands up. He had the same guard last year when we saw him. I know when he was younger, his style was a little different. I don't know if it's because of his age now or whatever, but that's the way he's choosing to, you know, to
Right.
fight. I mean, he's a great counterpuncher. You can't take that from him. And he threw a lot of good counters against Blair. So
Well, yeah, look, I think Adrian's a good fighter. I still think he's a good fighter. And when he's on top of his game and he's trained hard for a fight, I think he can still beat many of the higher end fighters right now in that division. Blair, I remember saying to you, Matt, that I don't think I've ever seen him fight before. And that the way I saw him, the way I was kind of reading him was that he looked like a very wiry, kind of jumpy guy.
yeah,
And that, he was able to do what I'd hoped he'd be able to do, which is that he was able to contain that throughout the fight. He didn't throw loose, wild, crazy shots. And he was able to control that energy and let it last him and help him out and get through those 10 rounds. I definitely see, his ability to be able to take out 12 rounds with that same ability. He seems like a good fighter. He seems like he's somebody who's got a pretty good ring IQ that's starting to figure things out as they progress throughout a fight. We were obviously in Broner's corner on that side, so I didn't hear anything of what Blair's trainer was telling him. So I don't know if, he was providing great advice and that's why he was figuring it out, or Blair was sort of reading it himself for the most part. But whatever it was, the team, it's always teamwork when it comes to a fight. So his team, we'll just say that, did a pretty good job of figuring it out as things progressed throughout the fight. Because I think Broner won that first round, and then it was the second round, I believe, that he got knocked down. So if I'm not, I didn't look at my scorecard, but I think that's what it was. But that first round was a feeling out round, and I think Blair's team kind of figured out the feeling out process, and then found an opening. I still haven't been able to find a video that shows if Blair stepped on his foot when he hit him. I know he hit him with a good shot, but I feel like Broner was a little off balance with that knockdown. I just don't know if he grazed his foot, stepped on his toe in any way.
Hold on. Hold that thought right now.
You have a different video than what?
So we're gonna go to Ed.
I haven't seen the video either, Mike. There is none. I was looking for that too because
Present.
I saw nothing that went that low. Nothing that shows anything below their ankles. So
yeah,
I can't see where their feet were. So I don't know, but just watching it live from my angle where I was sitting, I thought, because they were getting really close to stepping on each other. Matt, I think you even mentioned something about, hey, Mike, they're stepping on each other's feet. I thought you said that in the first round to me.
they were.
Yeah, it was very awkward. It is with the southpaw and an orthodox fighter. They step on each other's feet all the time. I couldn't really tell who was stepping on who, but I think it was going on in the first round. So when that happened early in the second round, it kind of looked like the foot was stepped on along with the punch.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it was counted as a knockdown. In the end, it wouldn't have mattered on my scorecard, really, because I still think Blair would have won that round, whether you called it a knockdown or not, based upon, I think, the activity level. So then you would have had 96-94 on my card, and it really wouldn't have made a difference in the end anyway, and nor any of the other judges. Well, what I had were more. But, But I know, Matt, you were saying after that knockdown, it seemed like he was very different, Broner. He wasn't as active as I think we normally see him. I think he was just trying to be active enough, but he had to know that his shots weren't blocking Blair's punches.
Right.
The way he was holding his hands wasn't doing it, which is why I'm not sure why he didn't make the adjustment. But anybody that was sitting near us, just assumed he won the fight. And I don't know if they thought that because they were scoring it, or it's just that they don't have the ability of knowing how to score it and just saw what they saw and did that. So what I was saying before was that I wouldn't have been surprised if it kind of went the other way with some of the judges, one or two of the judges, because when you have these close rounds, what are you trying to figure out? Like, how are you figuring the rounds out? Are you looking at the very decorated 4th division champion, who's been with the best of the best in there, and you're like, I'll give it to him? Were you thinking the hometown guy? Because again, that's Broner. Were you looking at the guy with the record? Broner. I don't know what they were looking for, but
Well, none of those. Yeah, those things shouldn't factor in. It's either who threw more, who landed more, and who did more damage. Who was controlling the ring? That's it. That's what they should be scoring on. You know.
I think.
So what's going on here, Steve? Is
Broner landed on hard shots. Show us your phone. Okay, can you tell us what it is? Because we can't see.
yeah. I don't think he stepped on his foot. But
If you're showing the main show,
It was close to it. It was close to it, but it doesn't show down below.
yeah.
You can't tell. It just looked like the way. If you look at the legs, you think of the extension of where the leg was. It seemed like it could have been pretty close, if not on his foot. But anyway, so first rounds, I think the harder shots were from Broner. I think he did land the harder shots throughout the fight. What got him in the odds. But obviously, there were more shots that landed from Blair. More thrown in, more landed, I believe, from what I saw. So he won it. He did what he was supposed to do. He won.
Yeah, so we're having technical difficulties with Mike's
Mike.
Mike.
Yeah, now that there's all that static just cleared up.
The static just cleared up when I muted him.
Mm.
So
is our guest? Did he text you or what?
I do not have a number that says anything since we went live. Oh, Mike Feinberg on another mic. I'm excited. I saw something else coming in. So there you go. How's this, Mike?
You like that
Do
Yeah,
you
it's better,
hear
man.
the noises? No, not so much. So so you guys were sitting next to Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
Was in the house.
Right.
He was getting into it.
Well, his father was getting into it. His father was yelling at Calvin Ford, trying to tell him, what instructions to give Broner during the fight. It's like, Coach, tell you got to do this, tell you got to do that,
Yeah.
And jumping up and down, man, that guy gets excited.
Yeah, they were really exactly what they were doing. He kept coming by. He must have walked past us 4 times throughout the fight to try to bark out direction to the trainer. But Teofimo, when the fight was over and Broner lost, we saw Teofimo Senior and Junior. They embraced. Matt, did they not? And we were looking at Senior, and Junior's back was to us. It was like a long embrace. Like it looked like Junior was crying. I don't know what was going on there. So interesting. I mean, it was his friend. But
so there's another view. If you look at his feet.
I turn that sound down though. That's killer, man.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay. His feet, his hands weren't really near the feet.
You're clicking things. It passed already. I missed it.
It doesn't look like it.
Okay.
It does not look
whatever,
like it.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. Well.
But anyway, for sure. The crowd seemed to think Broner won the fight. As I said, I don't know if that was because they just were listening to the oohs and the ahs of the crowd, because every time Broner did anything, everybody was like, wow, oh, wow. And when Blair did anything, they were like, just crickets. They didn't want to cheer for him. So was it just that they thought, based on the noise level, and because that's what they expected to happen, that they thought he'd win?
Yeah, that was a lot of people who bet. That was a lot of people who bet on AB because they were screaming and yelling, "Damn, AB! You lost me some money."
Before the fight, and I was telling Matt the same, is that I was actually shocked to find out going into the fight that Blair was actually the favorite fighter. He was favored. And as it got closer to fight time, people were putting money. The general audience was, so he was getting closer, but he was still the dog. Broner was still the dog.
Yeah.
So not really an upset.
All right. Well, listen, you know how, if the teacher's like 10 minutes late, you go home and you don't have to wait for class?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about something else.
Working in some of those.
You know?
So,
Things, Matt.
so we're going to do current
Obviously,
events. So what's the current events that's coming up? What do we got?
Right. I was saying that everybody knows that what was supposed to take place in the middle of July has now been moved. So Mike Tyson, Jake Paul is not going to happen in July any longer, but it is going to be in November. I don't know, Matt, if you have that exact date, but somewhere in November. So it's still planned to be there. Although if Mike Tyson, for some reason, health-wise, can't pass to get into that fight, Roy Jones is sitting there waiting to go. I don't know if anybody heard about that before, but
Yeah, him and like 10 other guys.
Mike Perry wants to fight Jake Paul now. Mike Perry's name.
Okay.
Mike Perry. His name in the mix.
Everyone and their brother wants to fight, including his brother.
No,
Logan said he would fight him.
His name was in the mix today.
Yeah, so I'm not holding my breath for that fight to ever happen. I don't care if it ever happens. Come on. Mike is 60 years old almost.
57. So, Mike, tell us about
58.
the boxing event that's coming this weekend. Tank
Davis and Frank Martin.
Oh yeah.
Who do you like in that fight, Mikey?
Yep. I like Tank to take that win, but Frank Martin is not to be taken lightly. He's a good fighter. He has a lot of skill. Tank, he hits hard, and he's great defensively as far as being able to absorb anything that gets thrown his way. Just like when he fought Ryan Garcia, we saw Ryan giving it his all and not getting anywhere. And Frank Martin is not as big as Ryan, but I still think Tank's going to do it. I think as Tank progresses, as he gets older and he moves on in his career, he's actually getting more, more shielded, better defensively. Like he can take more. He can take more of the shots. And I don't think he's really hit his peak yet. I think there's a lot of upside. And I do expect him
I'd like
to
to see him more active,
Yeah, well, I see Tank, moving on to one of the bigger fights in that division. Beyond that, still a lot of big guys, big names he hasn't touched up with yet. Like to see what else he can. Other lightweights.
He should be fighting every 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, why not at this level? Why not? It doesn't seem like he ever gets hurt in the fights. So why a long resting period? It doesn't make sense. They should be big enough more often. So yeah, it would be a good fight though for sure. I'm just trying to think because I know there's more fights coming up on that card, and there's a second card coming up that same day. So I'm just trying to recount, who's coming up there. I don't have my cards in front of me, so if you guys know,
Benavidez,
who else is on that card? Is that the same? That's Saturday, right? But it's on the same card.
I believe so.
Okay.
You know what the advertising for these events are ridiculous. I think I've seen maybe one post on Instagram for Tank's fight, and it was today. I know
Right.
Benavidez is fighting because I've seen the post from Boxer Gym, not because I've seen it from any of the promoters. So all these promoters have to get their act together. I mean, these events could be so much bigger if they publicize a little more,
Sure. Well, I think so. Talking about the Benavidez fight for a second, because it's one I'm interested in. Not to say that he hasn't shown already. He's a former champion. He's beaten some big name fighters, and I think the last fight that he had when he fought Demetrius Andrade, Adrian's a great fighter. You know, the fact that Benavidez could do what he did to Demetrius, I think.
Yeah, it's cutting
right
out. Can you hear him?
Is waiting. More of a natural weight class, I think. He's just too big to get Gvozdyk. And look, Gvozdyk is an amazing, again, former world champion. He has a lot of skill, a lot of ability. To my knowledge, he's only had one loss, and that was to Artur Beterbiev, who everybody has lost to, who's everybody's been knocked out from. So, you know, look, I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for Benavidez either. But what can Benavidez do? First of all, can he win? And if he can, how does he look winning? But if he can come out with a win over Gvozdyk at light heavy, a first fight in that division, I think it says a lot about Benavidez. And I think he's ready to move up and take on those other guys up there at that level too.
I agree.
Still want to see him fight Canelo. Don't get me wrong. Still waiting for that fight to ever happen.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Canelo don't want that.
The only way it would happen if Benavidez gets injured, you know, something really bad happens to him. I don't think even then it would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Friday is Brawl in Jacksonville for BYB 27. They got a girl we know was supposed to fight, but her fight was canceled. Jamie Red Queen driver.
Jamie's fight was canceled?
Yeah.
What happened?
Last minute.
Yeah, she was going to fight Sonia Drelling, who has fought everyone. You know?
Yeah. She was supposed to fight her, but something happened. But this guy, Harold McQueen, he's fighting John Bernard they're both, you know, it's not for a belt. That one's not for the belt. Mike Feinberg's coming in again. What the hell?
All right, listen. I'm going to go. Give me a text if Blair comes on, all right?
All right.
All right. Later.
So BYB's doing the fights this weekend. Skylar Thomas is fighting Brandon Burr, Craig Williams.
Right, I'm not sure how much what I said you heard, because I had no audio after I said that.
Yeah, not much.
Oh, okay. Well, my point was, what I was saying is that Gvozdyk is a former light heavyweight world champ. His only loss was to Artur Beterbiev, who everybody's lost to and been knocked out from. So Beterbiev is trying to come up to a weight class he's not familiar with and fight a former world champion at that level who's only fought and lost to one of the two best pound-for-pound fighters in the freaking world. So it's a tough fight for Benavidez. So, you know, I'm surprised he's favored as much as he is. He's like a 6.5 to 1 favorite, which I don't get it. You know, we'll see what happens. But I think, you know, there's going to be a lot of money being poured on Benavidez. And I would say, not to say I don't think he'd win, but I mean, if you got a couple of bucks in your pocket, you may want to go the other way. Because, I mean, Gvozdyk is probably going to come in to fight. He's not going to come into play. But if Benavidez does end up coming up with the win, how did he win? You know, what did he do to get that win? Did he absolutely destroy Gvozdyk? Did he win majority of the rounds, all the rounds? I'm interested. I'm really interested to see what Benavidez can do at that weight class, since it's not, you know, he's never been there before. And if he can do damage against Gvozdyk and come out with a very decisive win, he's already ready to fight anybody else in that division. But what I was saying was that I still want to see him fight Canelo. That's still a fight I want to see at super middleweight. I don't know that Benavidez can get back down there again if he's okay with trying to make that weight. But damn, I want to see that fight, because I think that's a Benavidez win right there.
Do you know that you broke the news 4 years ago today that Floyd Mayweather was coming out of retirement.
That was today, 4 years ago today.
Yes.
How about that?
How about that? Yes, it popped up on my feed. So we got Friday, July 19th and Saturday, July 20th, the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame in Belfast, New York, is having a Hall of Fame event.
Okay.
Okay, and that's the original 1889 training barns of John L. Sullivan,
Okay.
the Bare Knuckle King.
Right.
So they're having their event, which always brings out a bunch of bare knuckle fighters.
But what are they going to do? Are they actually going to induct fighters into the Hall of Fame?
They are inducting fighters into the Hall of Fame, yes.
We're talking about inducting people that have fought on BKFC cards within the last few years. We're talking about old-time fighters that are being inducted, many years after their careers have been over or posthumous. What do you mean?
Last year they inducted a whole bunch of BYB fighters.
Oh, I thought you said it was BKFC.
BKFC and BYB and whoever's knuckles up.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Whoever's fights with the bare knuckles.
Okay, so people that are currently fighting now can be inducted to the Hall of Fame? Not usually how it works, but is that how they're doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy won 10 fights in a row. He's a Hall of Famer. No one has won 10 fights, So
I mean, NFL, you have to be retired for 5 years before you can get in. So different.
Yeah, many different rules.
Yep.
In fact, I'm going to have that guy on the show, Scott Burton, who runs it, and we're going to ask him a lot of questions. He's very knowledgeable.
Okay.
When it comes to this bare knuckle game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yes, sir. So that's BYB's. That's this Friday, and then Teofimo Lopez is fighting at the end of the month.
Yeah, I think it's June 29th.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff to cover. I guess we call it quits. I got tons of work still to do. I have to go home, eat some dinner, and then come back to work because I got to finish this job.
Okay.
So,
anybody watching, anybody interested, talking about the Teofimo Lopez fight, Matt and I, one of us, both of us may be going down to Miami for the press conference that's taking place this Friday in South Miami.
Hold on 1 second. What's up? Hey, what's going on? Yes, sir. Log on. We're in. We'll be live. All right, come on. Oh, you're in Vegas? Vegas time. All right, let's go. All right, you got it. I thought you were in Philadelphia. That's why. No worries. Come on on. All right, bye. So, guess who we have coming on, Mike?
I guess Blair Cobbs is showing up.
Oh boy. So
For my volume, my light up. If I can get my freaking light to come up. Damn, man, I don't think I can get it. I'm gonna mess with my phone here, so just bear with me.
all right, so we're gonna go live with Blair the Flair.
There's the crack again. You're crackling. Yes, no. Right here.
Blair the Flair Cobbs. What's up? What's up, my guy? Let me get him in. Let me, Mike. What's up? What's up? What's up?
How you doing? How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Wow. So what a fight the other night, bro. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
That was you put on some show. That was some show. How do you feel that happened? So for all the people who don't know who this is, for all the people that didn't tune in, this is Blair the Flair Cobbs. He is the new WBC People's Champion, welterweight champion.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was some fight. How you feeling about the whole process of it?
The whole process was kind of surreal because it's been a dream. It's been a dream, honestly. Promoting the fight, being involved in the fight, having such a high caliber veteran like Adrien Broner, and being that opponent, and it was great. It was tremendous. I had a tremendous training camp. I had a tremendous team that helped push me to victory. And shout out to Adrien Broner for taking the fight and taking the chances.
Yeah. Well, I've been to about 10 events at the Hard Rock for boxing, and I've never seen it that crowded.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a packed house.
Perfect.
Over 5,000 people came out to watch you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. It's all about the fans. It's all about the action. It's all about the drama, and I feel like we produce plenty of that inside and outside the ring. It was a good night for boxing, not just for Blair The Flair and Adrien Broner, but a good night for boxing.
Yeah. So what led you? Who wanted you to fight Adrien Broner? Was that your camp contacting his camp, or Adrien Broner's camp with Don King contacting your camp?
Well, I know that Adrien Broner's been trying to get a fight with and secure a fight with Devin Haney, but they had issues in a situation with that. Devin Haney went the other direction, fighting Ryan Garcia, um, and they don't want to be waiting down and possibly not ever getting it and making it and not making it. So they called. This was a fight that I've been pushing for years. This is a fight that I've been praying for and promoting when I didn't have the fight at all. In a situation I've been trying to put myself in, even when I was with Golden Boy. Golden Boy didn't make it happen, so I had the next best thing. I had Don King Promotions, and Adrien Broner is the one that pulled the trigger.
So Adrien was calling you out. This is so I'm Steve, by the way. Nice to see you. Saw you at the weigh-ins. This is Matt below. Say hello, Matt.
Hey, how you doing, Blair? Good to see you again.
Well, Blair was on Vegas time, so
Fix minds. So there you
oh,
go.
there you go.
Yeah, there
Thank
you
you.
go.
So so we just had a little mix up with the Vegas time. I thought you were in Philadelphia still.
Nah. I had to leave Philadelphia. It's just Philadelphia was not giving me the opportunities that I needed to grow my brand and grow my boxing career.
Yeah. So man, we were just talking with Blair, saying how crowded the Hard Rock was, and Don King's team and Adrien contacted him for the fight. And when did you know that the fight was on for real?
I kind of always knew that was going to happen. I just had faith, and that's just what it is. I just had faith that it was going to happen. And Don King had like already said, yeah, we're going to make the fight happen and this and that, and we signed. We already signed and did all of our due diligence, and then it was just waiting and praying that Adrien Broner is going to work out. He's going to train. He's going to be prepared for the fight. He's going to show up for the fight. He's going to show up
Yeah.
to press conferences. He's going to do this. He's going to make weight. It was a lot of like gray area where I had to just like live in a place of faith.
So, what did you think when he came in so late for the press conference? What was going through your mind?
That regardless, I'm going to give you guys a show. Whether he shows up or not, I'm going to give you guys a show. And like I had brought the AD puppet just in case. I was prepared regardless. I was going to give you guys a show and put on for the fans.
Yeah, that was great.
You had the puppet, and then that other dude brought his birds.
Yeah,
He put his birds with him.
Yo, I had birds, puppets. You know, like you give me enough time, I'll pull up with I'll have all kinds of stuff. Like,
Yeah, it was fun, but yeah, Steve is right. That was the biggest live audience that we've seen at the Hard Rock for a boxing event. You know, we've been going to boxing events there for the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And BKFC also, they usually don't sell that
Yeah,
many tickets.
They're close, but you know, even like so, 5,000 is the first three rows, and then the upper is more than 5,000, and they started opening up the upper, because people still wanted to come in. They were like, okay, just send them on the upper.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
Mike,
they had the PFL there one time, Professional Fighters League, the MMA, and Donald Trump was there, and they still had that top shut. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So people knew he was going to be coming there, and there still aren't as many people as at that Don King event, at your event. Good stuff.
So walk us through how you felt after you got the victory, knowing that you beat a real contender. I mean, Adrien Broner, 4-time, champ. You know, he's had 4 different belts, 4 weight classes. You know, how'd you feel? Immediate reaction. He might be getting a phone call.
No, his mic is muted.
Hold on.
Make a quick message to my
Yeah, no worries.
friends and everything, making sure that nobody interrupts this call and
yeah.
make sure everything is good with you guys.
So Adrien Broner, 4-division champ, super featherweight, lightweight, light welterweight, and welterweight. Had you, when you got your hand raised, it was 97, 91, 96, 93, 96, 93. Did you know you had that fight in the bag?
Well, like on the contrary of my persona that happens to be very, very confident. Like I'm always on the edge. I never really fully think that like I'm just taking over and just demolishing anybody. Like even in the fights, I know that like there was little spots here and there that you could say, oh yeah, well he did this. Even though like I personally felt like every round was a Blair The Flair round, but I never like you never know what's going on with these judges and what they're looking at, because even those judge like the 2 judges that had it like far closer than I ever thought that it could ever be.
Right.
You know what I mean, and it's still like you never know. You know, even with the early knockdown and then also like taking control of almost every round with flurries, with jabs, with counter punches and big shots here and there to put an exclamation point on every round. But you know, it's just how it is, man. So going through the fight, like I'm being incredibly careful and patient. I developed far greater skills and abilities than the fights before. You know, so and I had a full training camp to do that. So I just made sure that like every single like if he hits me one time, I'm gonna hit him 5. If he hits me one time, I'm hitting him 5 times.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you feel this was the best performance of your career?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope so because that was against a very big, formidable opponent, and nobody in the welterweight division is fighting somebody like that. Nobody. You can't say that Ennis fought a big name, and especially off a layoff. You know, like who the hell comes back to boxing after a 2-year layoff to fight somebody like Adrien Broner? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
a multi-world champion that's very highly skilled and highly decorated, tons of experience, and also haven't been on a layoff like I have.
Yeah.
His recent fight was only a year ago, and then also it was against a guy that was very similar style to Blair The Flair with movement and southpaw and all that stuff. So the odds is stacked against me, regardless of what the odd makers would say it would have it.
Well,
Well, you
they
were
had him
Vegas.
favored.
Vegas had you. You were favored to win. But what was the reason for your 2-year layoff?
I was going through a whole lot of legal problems with Golden Boy and things like that. Um, Look, it's like this. It gets to a point where I don't want to be under promoted. I don't want to be undervalued, and I don't want to fight these. Like basically, if you look at my resume, I fought a whole lot of high risk, low reward fights that took me nowhere. That took me nowhere. And then like they'll give me a big fight, but it has to be under the circumstances of me losing. It has to be a 1 week notice fight or something. You know what I mean? Like the Alexis Rocha, 1 week notice. They just wanted to play games with me
Yeah.
until like I just had enough. You know? So when that contract was up, I'm like, look, you guys need to pay me something. You know what I mean? Like if you want to re-sign me for at least 500,000. You know what I mean? Let me know that you really want this. And they wanted to play games and this and that, and then they wasted a whole lot of time. You know what I mean? So I had to go through courts and legal things to make sure that they're gonna pay me regardless, and I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. And that's basically what's happened. You know, and I
Right.
had to go through that process and live on a prayer, you know, because imagine going through 2 years layoff. That's a long time to and still trying to keep relevance.
Yeah. Were you still
Yeah,
in
but
Fight
it seems you
this,
came back better. You know, it seems you came back better than you were before. You
yeah,
know.
well, I try to keep my body young, and that's what a lot of fighters don't do. You know what I mean? They go out in a blaze of glory early, and then next thing you know it, they have a good time, and then their body ages pretty fast and pretty rapid. But like for me, I was able to like slow my process of aging. So honestly, I'm at the peak of my prime, and I'll probably be here for a good 5 years. And I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started with my career. Most people at my age is over the hill or getting to that point of over the hill, and I thank God that like I have a second chance at it.
well said. Woo!
The woo. Hey, Blair, what's
So
going on, man? I didn't get to
How
say
you doing?
to you yet. So I want to jump back to the fight here for a minute. We were sitting there ringside. Matt was right by my side, and I had Broner's family to my left. Like literally, everybody was next to me, including his mother. So I'm hearing what they're saying, but I'm watching what I'm watching clearly. I'm also seeing what Broner's corner is saying, and I'm watching Teofimo Lopez Sr. running over to provide advice to Broner's corner to then shout to the ring, and I'm watching him run back and forth. Like it was just a very chaotic side of the ring, but I didn't get to hear anything on your corner. So I didn't know what being told to you. But what I was going to ask you was the first round, you guys were obviously feeling each other out a little bit, I actually had what two of the judges had score-wise. So, I mean, clearly saw it in your favor, no matter what the crowd around me was saying. But what I was trying to figure out is why Broner was actually holding his guard the way he was, where you were literally able to split the guard every freaking time you tried to do it, which was really like that was like your cake move. I mean, that's all you needed to really do, is just continue jabbing directly to that open guard that's sitting wide open for no reason. At what point did you notice that that was just wide open? And at what point did you start motivating yourself to start throwing combinations inside that guard? Because I saw you take into it more and more as the rounds went on.
Yeah, well, like, see, the thing is, me and Adrien Broner, we know the same tricks. You know, the only thing is that I do a few other things because I got a little bit more ability. You know what I mean? I can put volume together. You know what I mean? With like slingshot power that comes out of nowhere and things like that. But the guard that he has, right? It's a mobile guard. So like I'm watching when he opens up a little bit, when the moment he starts to think that he's gotten a little bit more comfortable throwing his jab and things like that, and honestly, I was threatening for him to throw his. I wanted him to throw his right hand more, and but he was very smart to not throw his right hand. He says that he might have he hurt it and everything. I never really saw that. I never thought that he actually hurt his hand. He never showed any real hurt of the elbow or nothing like that because it was still mobile even if in his guard. Yeah, I just thought that he was a smart ass trying to stop me from throwing my left hand over the top because I'm a big exchange puncher. So the moment that punch leave your face, you're in danger. So that's what I saw. I'm very creative. So I was creatively breaking the guard with my jab by leaving it out there a little bit longer. The moment it breaks through, it would have obviously it wouldn't be one jab. Sometimes it'd be like a multiple jab combination that'll break through the guard, and then I run a few more punches and threaten the left hand, waiting for him to try to retaliate. Because once they retaliate, that's the knockout shot. The knockout shot is the one you don't see coming, in the exchanges.
Yeah, I thought you
So
did
what
a
was
great
the
job with that jab, throwing it 3-4 times in a row.
what was the advice being given to you in that corner? I mean, were you being told between rounds? Just what was the change up that they wanted you to do? What was different?
Yeah, just working angles. Don't you step around, slow it down, step around, keep stay behind your defense. Head movement, things like that, and just staying composed. Staying composed, and we need to consistently amp and consistently bring more pressure as the fight go. So that's basically what I did. Each round I tried to throw a little bit more punches, a little bit more punches, do something that will catch the eyes of the judges and the fans every round. Give you something big, and end off the round good. I break fights down into rounds, and even in rounds I break those rounds down. So we got 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, okay, what I did in the first minute, how do I win the second minute? How do I win the third minute? Okay, once that bell ring, ding, I want to be at my corner as soon as possible. If I can end the fight, if I can end the round, in my corner, I will do so. That way, I just sit down. They walk their ass all the way to the other side of the ring, and things like that. If a lot of times I might do little slide things, I will lure them into a corner or a rope move, whereas though they think they have more power, they have the control, and I'm jabbing them high low, feinting, and then give them something just to take it away, feint, duck around, hold, give them a clench, spin around, put them on the ropes, things like that I'm doing to control the ring with ring generalship and skills and tactics. I'm a lot more smarter than I look, and it's because all you see is just raw ability, because I don't have a whole bunch of circumstantial wins to season me into a position where it looks like a seasoned veteran. You see a person that has incredible skills and incredible ability, but you don't know exactly what you're looking at. So a lot of times when you see these wild punches that bow and like little do you know, I'm trained, I'm highly trained in doing that. You know what I mean? But it can look like a lucky shot. And that's how it happens, you know. So boom, it might look like, oh damn, that shit came out lucky, but then I landed it like 4 or 5 times throughout the round. I mean, throughout the fight, you know, and weird things like that I can pull off. You know, like the Maurice Hooker knockdown that looks like an accident or a fluke, but I actually pulled that shot off quite a few times. It just has devastating fashion when people don't see it coming and they're not prepared, especially if they're coming forward and trying to get me out of there like he did early.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Are you in any talks with anyone, or what's going on?
We're working on some big fights. Big fights will be coming to you guys very very soon. We're looking at Ryan Garcia, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. Hell, even a Conor Ben fight that might be possibly in the works. Blair The Flair is the People's Champion in the welterweight division and deserves a People's Champion fight. We looking at big exciting fights and big names. Hell, if we can score maybe a good fight with Mario Barrios, maybe. I might consider it, even though Mario Barrios, nobody wants to see Mario Barrios fight Pacquiao, but everybody will see Blair The Flair fight Pacquiao.
Yeah, well, there's another season Southpaw that you'd be going up against, you know. Um,
Yes.
but man, Manny's retired. I mean,
Nah, he's back in the mix. They're like he's always talking about fighting, and we were in negotiations for a fight recently. He just wanted way too much money, and it really wasn't what he was worth at the time. You know what I mean? But right
yeah.
now, and like he's trying to push for a fight, more and more. And what better way to bring the fans even more exciting fight than Blair Flair versus another legend and Manny Pacquiao. I think it'll be very interesting. Either way, however it goes, whether I knock him out, he knocked me out, or it goes a distance and a clash of brilliance and speed.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because Pacquiao's one of the only guys to beat Broner,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So you'd be fighting the man and possibly beating the man who beat the man before.
yeah, and exactly. And so just like Ric Flair says, baby, in order to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, woo!
Exactly, man.
So
We
where
use
did
some
that
kind of good
nickname come
logic
from?
there.
Where'd your nickname come from? Where you big Ric Flair fan?
Well, I've always been a wrestling guy, man. I've
Yeah.
always been a wrestling guy, but I'm the '90s. I'm the '90s kid, like the '90s and early 2000s. So like my biggest dreams was my biggest love when it came to wrestling was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, um, the whole D Generation X scene. You had Undertaker that was still killing it. You had The Rock that was like the exclamation point on all of wrestling. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin and everything that happened in WCW.
Right. And
Yeah, yeah.
when was the
But
first time?
the Ric Flair thing came from no, I still was a big fan of Ric Flair, but like back in the day when I was in Philadelphia, there was a trainer that goes by the name of Brother Nazim Richardson. He was a big famous trainer in Philadelphia that trained in my gym and like he would show up to my fights, my amateur fights to see how I'm doing. I had a very big um name in Philadelphia at the time. People really wanted to see how I was going to turn out because I was very charismatic and I was dynamite in that ring. So what ends up happening, he showed up to one of my amateur fights and he's rooting me on. He's like, "Come on, Blair, Blazing Blair, Blair the Flair, let's go, Blair the Flair, let's go." And everybody's talking about Blair the Flair, Blair the Flair, and it just stuck. It stuck in the inner cities. It stuck in Philadelphia, and it stuck in New York, and then it just rolled over. And then eventually, when it was time for me to go pro, they were like, you know what, you should probably call yourself Blair The Flair, and I just went with it.
Nice.
You know, but in Mexico, when I first started, they called me Apollo, and just like the Apollo Creed movie, like I had a crazy backstory with that. And when I started in Mexico as a child, and then in New York and all that stuff, but that was the name that we went with.
Blair The Flair. Looks like you know, in that fight, looks like you had a lot of fun. You know, you get punched in the face, you usually don't smile, but you know, you look like you were having a good time in there. Did you? Were you having fun in there?
Yeah, well, careful. I'm very, very careful. But there was something that I learned throughout my boxing career, and like especially training in all these different gyms and going to different places all around the world. I noticed one thing: the person that's having the most fun is the person that's the best in the gym. The person that's having the most fun is the best fighter. So I make sure every single day ain't nobody having more fun than me, whether it's in a fight or even in training. You know, it doesn't matter what we're doing. I'm competitive, but I'm also having fun.
Yeah.
You know, nitpicking with other fighters and this and that, talking and doing, having jokes and pulling pranks and having fun. I want to have fun in that ring. We only live once, so like if I'm living my best life and living my dream life, it has to consist with the element of passion and fun being involved.
Yeah. I felt that.
Sounds good. Sounds good, man. Um, so we got a couple of big fights coming up. Who are some of your favorite fighters? Who are some of your idols? Let's talk about that.
Well, some of my biggest idols will be like Manny Pacquiao, Muhammad Ali, and just a few others like that. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard was incredible. Floyd Mayweather was incredible in his time and his era. Um, and honestly, Blair The Flair, man. I wake up in the morning and I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, that's a bad man. That is a bad man. So you know, that's what I
You
see.
kiss your guns and everything.
Yeah, I like the guns and all, and honestly, like dealing with like the type of multi-personality stuff that I got going on. Sometimes I'm watching these interviews and watching the fight just like you as a fan, with no real recollection of actually being there. So it's exciting to watch a Blair Flair fight and watch Blair Flair do his thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, the crowd was definitely into that fight. They were making a lot of noise. My ears were ringing the next morning. Uh, it was exciting to see. That's for sure. So, look, man, we look forward to seeing your next fight. So keep us in the loop. We'd be happy to have you on the show again before that fight. We'll help promote it for you because we were just talking before. Hardly anyone realizes Gervonta Davis is fighting this weekend. Tank Davis. He's supposed to be the face of boxing. People say that all the time. Nobody even knows he's fighting this weekend.
That's
And
that's how it needs to be. It needs to be that way because the face of boxing is the most exciting man in boxing. You know, and it fars it's just not enough to be the guy in the ring. You have to be the guy inside, outside the ring. You got to work double time if you want to be overtime. You got to work overtime if you want to be the great. You know,
yeah,
and like look, we have people like Jake Paul making a killing because there's such an open market for entertainers. We need that. We need that for true fighters like myself. And we need that for the fans. That's what the fans truly desire and truly want. And they've been needing that itch. They've been needing the Blair the Flair itch, and that's just what it is. But like, hey, I gotta say, thank you so much for having me on. And you can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Blair the Flair for more exciting content.
yeah.
Officialblairtheflair.com. Woo! Because nobody does it.
Woo! All right, let's have a contest. Who can do the woo the woo the loudest? All right, Mike, we're gonna start with you. Let's hear one.
Let's hear it.
Woo!
Matt, let's hear it.
Woo!
Oh,
Oh, that was
I can't,
horrible.
man.
You gotta try that again.
Woo!
All right, that's
I ain't got the woo.
Woo!
oh, okay. And we're gonna end it live with you. We're gonna end it right here with the Blair the Flair woo, and here it goes. Woo!
Nice.
Thank you very much for having me on board, you guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Absolutely.
Good talking to you, Blair.
Good luck
Take
to you,
care.
bud.
All right, take care.
Take care. Congratulations.
So that's a wrap, guys. So I
I
didn't
got
know
people
that-
sleeping in the next room.
I didn't know
Can't
it
do the
was.
woo.
I didn't know it was Vegas time. So I should have learned my lesson from years ago when we had the same thing happen. But thanks for everyone for tuning in. Sorry the show was so long, but you know what? We stuck with it. Matt took off and we stuck with it. Blair finally came on. Thank you so much, Blair. You made my Friday night. What a great event I went to. Don King is not going to be having a lot of more events. So, like this is very memorable for me to go to his events still. Because, he's like the face of boxing promotions,
He would say
Well,
so.
we all
That's
know
for
him,
sure.
obviously. The big 80s fights
Yeah.
and early 90s fights,
Yeah.
for sure, based on boxing.
Yeah.
It's, that's what you did.
You can't.
Pay-per-view and you watch Don King standing there,
Yeah, you can't deny he's the most important boxing promoter of all time. He brought the sport to another level in terms of income. That's for sure, and getting fights. Bringing money into fights and making fighters rich.
Yeah. And
And
even
making himself rich.
he even wanted to go in the ring. He's like, I want to go in the ring.
Yeah.
He's 92 years old. Getting in the ring is not so easy.
No.
He wanted to get in there. He's like, I want to go in. Let's go. So
Yep.
And he did it multiple times. So
multiple times. Yes. And they all advised him no ring. And he was like, yes, ring. So, good for Don. It's been a great show. We have a lot of stuff coming up in the next week. A bunch of fighters want to come on. So tune in.
Who do you got?
Tune in soon. We're done. Say goodbye.
Good night. Thanks for tuning
all right,
in.
everybody.
Deuces.
Like and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Be safe, everyone.
Deuces.